Alright, in this JavaScript video we are going to see how to create a model. The main part here is it's not just model. If I click open model, you'll see the model comes up with an animation, and if I close the model, you'll see it is not closing quickly. It is waiting till the animation gets stopped, and then it's getting fade away. The same way you can close the model just by clicking outside the model box. Fine, let's get started. We'll be creating it from scratch. I'll leave the source code in the description in case if you got stuck somewhere, like just copy paste it. Now let me open the folder. So here we need three files: HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let me first open the folder. By default you will see, once you download, I'll leave the link in the description. In the link you will see uh, a download link. It's actually a Google Drive link. You will be downloading it from a Google Drive. Once you download it, the file will have three files. These are the three files: index file, script file and sheet. Now let's start scratch. I'm creating a index HTML file. I'm going to name the HTML file as index2.html. Since we are in the same folder, to avoid name conflict, I have used index2. So the main part here is .html is necessary. You can have any name on the HTML. The same way .css is necessary. You can give any name. I'm sticking with style2.css. Again, for the script tag, the extension is important. .js is important. You can give any name. I'm sticking to script2.js. Cool. Now to get the boilerplate code, I'm using the Visual Studio Code exclamatory tab. Just click exclamatory and click tab. My PC is running slow today. And for the model we just need a button with ID open, and the button will say open model. And then we need a model container. Inside the model container we'll be having model with it's actually a ID, and in the model we'll be having some heading and some paragraph which is lorem ipsum text, and then a button with class close, button with ID class close. So the HTML is very straightforward. If I show you the HTML, since we are using index2, we can just type index2.html and it's actually on the same folder. We can directly access it on the browser. Cool. Let's first design the button. Let me just comment this for now. And here we'll be using the font which is Poppins. So for all element I have removed margin and padding. I have added boxes in border box, and for all element I have added the font family Poppins. So if I refresh it, you'll see, let's just see, we have not linked the style on the HTML file, which is style2.css, and for the script tag, script2.js. Now as we linked it, you will see the default margin and padding got removed. Now I want the button to be at the center, so get the body, use the display flex property, align items will vertically align, justify content will horizontally align. In order for the align item to work, we need to give height 100% of viewport height. Viewport is nothing but the browser, and open is the ID which we have given to the button. We can give padding of 1 rem top and bottom, 2 rem left and right. Cool. This is the JavaScript tutorial, so let's keep the CSS minimum and we use CSS where only when required. and then we have the HTML. Let me comment this. Model container is a class. Inside the model container we have ID model. Inside ID model we have heading, we have paragraph, we have button with class close. Let's just cross check. It's H1, not H3. Cool. I would recommend you to write this to avoid CSS conflict, as well as there is a topic called CSS specificity, which I have already mentioned in the previous tutorial. So just to give you an hint, what is CSS specificity? If suppose there is uh, two CSS rule which is same, one with class model and one with, if suppose the class has, it has the ID as well as model. So there is class, sorry, this is ID and there is class model. So if I say both has color, one has color red and one has color blue, so let's just keep this above. So if I ask the question to the beginner will say the red will be applied, but according to CSS specificity the color blue will be applied, because this is one element, this is one element and this is one element. According to CSS the score of this is 3, and according to this is one element and this is one element. According to CSS this is code 2, so this blue will be applied. So to avoid name conflict we are using this kind of CSS rule, and that's for the specificity. Now let's make the background black and position fixed. We need to give width and height so that we can see some changes. Width of 100% of viewport width, height of 100% of viewport height. Viewport is nothing but browser. Now let's just reduce the opacity. Click on, hover on this or click on this, hover on this. You can reduce the opacity, and instead of 3 you can give value from 0.1 to 0.1 to 1. Let's just make this 6, and whatever is there inside the model container I want to be at the center. So before that let me give the padding of 2 rem, and let me give the background color as white just to see, and let's give the width of 400 pixel. And now I want this model to be at the center, so the same way, since we have given height, it will take it at the center. Now we are not going to focus much on CSS. Let's just make the border radius 15 pixel. Cool. Now let everything be as it is. Let's just give the padding top bottom 1 rem, left and right 2 rem, and whatever is there I want to divide the center. So text align center, and let the margin bottom be 1 rem. So I think this seems to be very small. Let's just increase the size of the paragraph, lorem 20 and tab, so 20 will be there, and 50% offer, and if you want you can give the same margin to the H1 as well. Let's just make 0.7. Cool. Now when I click on this should go away. So let's call the close button document dot query selector, which is ID close. When I click on this, so I'm attaching an event which is click. So when I click on it, I want a model container document.query selector, which is model container class. With this query selector you can give CSS selector, either it can be ID, either it can be class, either it can be selector like H1, H2, paragraph, div. So I want this to style display to be none. So if I click on it, it's gone. The same way, if I click on open, it should show up. So click on the button. When I click on it, I want a model container to have display block. So by default, the model container should have display none. Model container should have display none. Refresh it. So when I click on open model, it shows up. When I click on close, it goes away. So the reason for this happening is we have given display block, but in CSS we have mentioned display flex. So to avoid this, we can have a class called show model, and this show model will make a display block, or just say, or in other word, what we can do is here instead of giving block, he can give flex. Show hide, show hide. The transition here is 2 click. For what you can do is, now to show the animation, it's very easy. So model container has model div. Let's add an animation. Let's define animation. The animation name going to be show from top. Duration is 1 second and the speed is linear. Let's define the animation at the rate keyframes on 0th percentage and on 100 percentage. On 0th percentage, it should start from, if you see, okay, let's just try translate, sorry, transform, translate y 10 pixel 10 percentage, which is from negative. It should come from negative margin to the positive, which is 0. Let's try. And instead of negative, if they refresh this, instead of 20, let's make this 30, and it should come by an opacity which is 0.5 to opacity 1. There seems to be an error in. Okay, this should come out. So you see, with little modification, you are getting the open animation. But if I click on close, it is closing immediately without the animation. Now let me add one more thing. When I click on outside the box, the model should get close. So for the whole window, I'm adding a click listener, window.add event listener, which is click. So we get the E. We'll passing the E. So console.log. So we can get with E target. We can get where we have clicked. So let me show you by showing on the console. So since window has an event click, so wherever I click, you'll be seeing the div. I think PC is slow again, it's not showing up. So if I click on div, you have clicked on body. If I click on model, it says that you're clicking on box. If I click on model again, it says you have clicked on class. If I click on model container, it says you have clicked on model container. Now we are going to check if e dot container dot class list, we're getting the class if it contains our class, which is model container. If if we found, if we clicked on a model container, which is this one, I want the model container to get height. Let's see. So it's working, the console is working. So if I click on model body, it is not going to close, but if I click on model container, it got closed. Cool. Now let's work on the animation. So once I click on close, I want to append an animation to this model. So once I click on close, I want to add animation to the model container. Let's add an animation class list dot add. So this class will be show down. We have made show up, now it's show down. Let me just copy paste it again. This time it's the class show down. This class will have the keyword showdown, and this showdown we have defined it. Here we have to just reverse this. On 0% the opacity is 1, and once it ends, so let me remove this display none and show you. Comment this as of now. Open. So you're getting cool animation. Again, if I click on close, you saw the animation, but that need to be given to the model which is inside the container. Make sure it's saved, and if let's refresh this, click on open model. If I click on close, this should go away. It's not getting applied. So directly we'll call the model show. This is not happening. Let's see what mistake we have done. So the problem is we need to give important, or else it won't work. So if I click on close, you saw it's gone. And here the problem is, if I uncomment this, you won't see the animation, but it will quickly go away. So if I click on close, it will quickly go away without seeing the animation. Now we have to add an event listener, which is animation end. So this animation end will be on the model. So once the animation is end, it will go display none. Let me save this. Make sure this dot goes away. Refresh it. Open model. Click on close model. Cool. Refresh it again. If I click on open model, this is because of CSS, but this is actually because of our JavaScript. If I click on close model, it gets fades away, and then our model closes up. But here there would be a problem again. So if you click on open model again, it will show up and then go away, because this animation end is applied to the model. Since there are two animation, which is this one and this one, we want the animation end only to apply on the showdown, but with JavaScript it is getting applied to the previous animation as well. Let me show you again. If I click on open model, so this is one animation, and if I close, this is second animation. So if I open again, the first animation is again an animation, but it is this animation end is getting affected because of this animation. So how we can do this? We can stop it by using the flag. So a flag is simply a variable. You can have flag equal to true, and if you see, let me just show you again. Open, and there is no class added. If I click on close, you will see the showdown is added. So this makes display none, I want this show to be removed. So I'll be using set timeout function. We need to give according to the, this is 1 second, so we can make this 1200 millisecond, and I want to remove this added class once the display done is done, so we can remove it. So let me just make sure it's saved. Let me refresh this. This is model. At present it does not have any class. You can see if I click on close, the class is added, and the set timeout also works fine. Now let's continue with our flag. So by default it is true. So first iteration it is going to be true, and here one more problem is there. This animation only happen when I click on close. What if I click over here, it automatically got disappear. So we have to call this same function, which is transition end, to this one as well. So what we do is we'll create a function that will have transition end and set interval. So let's create a function hide all. You can give any name. So we need this to be called over here as well as here. So now it would work. Even if I click on this model container, you will see animation. Console. That's great. That seems to work. When I click on model container, and of course we need to add this class so that it goes away as it comes. So that seems to working fine. If I click on outside of model container, it works, and if I click on close, it works. But the problem is still there because of the two animation. Now it will go away because this is happening twice. This hide all, instead of hide all, will be giving, we can give some meaningful name, which is hide model. Now we can give flag if this is true, and set this to true, and hide only when if it is true. Get into the model and hide only when it's true, and after some second, once we remove the showdown class, make this false. So what happens is, by default it is going to be true, and it will go false when we remove the class showdown. So there seems to be over here a problem as well. We need to set true here as well. Indirectly we can make use of this. If I click outside, it works. If I click on close button, again it works. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for listening.